Ready.
You'd like to sit more towards the middle, Mr. Mayor?
So what?
You'd like to sit more towards the middle, or are you good right there?
Okay. Just gonna go sit in the next row. Yeah, there you go. I can see that's why.
You're deeply offended.
So what? Well, I appreciate you giving me this space. I can see it very much.
I know what you're doing, you just want to keep an eye on him, just move him, see him.
Do you mind giving me that? Please.
Anybody want any water? Attention, big circle.
Ready, Rachel? There's Rachel. We should go.
Who do we have first? Let's see, we have.
Can I start or not yet?
You're ready.
Ready? Council, now time is 6:01. Let me call to order the special town council meeting of the town of Sunnyvale for September 24th, 2018. Council, today we are continuing the interviews to different boards and commission. I believe we have 5 candidates to interview or talk to today. Maybe 4. 5. That's right. Let's get started. Hopefully we can make decisions at the end of the meeting. Just for the record, Councilmember McNeil most probably will not be here for the special meeting as well as the regular session. But
Is that for both?
I'm sorry?
Is that for both?
Most probably. He has some business he's going to complete today. Yes, ma'am.
We also received 2 applications today. That will be up to y'all if y'all just want to continue with what you have or if you want to table the item after tonight.
Okay.
Y'all can talk about that after we do
Right, we will
the
do.
interviews. All right.
We're going to have first Robert White.
Robert White.
Thank you. Good morning, Tracy. Good afternoon. Good evening, Tracy, I should say. How are you? Good. Sorry.
I greatly appreciate it.
No problem. Got a seat right there.
Right here.
Right there in the hot seat.
Good evening.
And Mr. Robert White, how are you?
Nice to meet
Nice to meet
you.
you.
Larry Allen, just
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you as well.
Marky.
Good to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for taking time to
No,
Come on,
I think
visit
I was
with
2
us.
weeks ago. I apologize for the last minute postponement.
So repeat all of our names and get.
That's the test.
It is okay. Everybody has plans and things get moved around. But again, thanks for visiting with us. I read through your background. You have police officer experience, municipal police officer experience. Robert White,
Yes, I was for a little over 11 years.
and you are the Economic Development Committee chairperson of our previous community. Which one you're talking about?
Yeah, the town I had lived in outside Chicago was very similar to Summerhood, 8,000 folks or so. Horse farms, no cattle. But we had very, very kind of similar development, I would say, challenges and a setup and issues to balance in that town.
Just interested to hear from you. You were the Economic Development Committee chairperson there, but you applied for the Planning and Zoning and Board of Adjustments here.
Yeah, those were the 2 that were available when I submitted that application.
We have opening for all positions.
Okay.
Fewer in number, but we do.
I would say that those are probably the 2 that interest me the
Okay.
most. I think, not to sound like desirable for influence, but I think those are probably very important, probably 2 of the commissions that the board tends to give more deference to, I guess, than others. And probably places where things can maybe go awry early in the planning process.
Okay. Can you talk about some of your accomplishment as the chairperson for the 8,000 horse farm community?
Sure. So half of that was done while I was a police officer, and part of the time was done after I switched careers, and now I'm a corporate lawyer, so just complete career 180. But
Wow.
what we were kind of faced with is we had a town that was trying to balance a somewhat bucolic residential setting with the need to generate a certain amount of tax dollars to fund operations in the village. And, we had certain areas that could be developed, certain areas that certain people in the community were opposed to developing. We had a large elephant in the room of a giant, very profitable hospital that did not pay the city any tax dollars. So there was a battle
Sounds very
to kind of
familiar.
extract what you can from them. And so as chairperson of that committee, I ended up refereeing a lot of disputes that got kicked down to that level of people who wanted a little bit more of a sales tax or whatever tax revenue you can generate from having industry or light industry in your town,
Okay.
versus others who wanted to keep the town kind of strictly residential and raise revenues through things like the water bill. So we ended up having one of the highest water bills in Illinois going forward. And then meeting with different developers who had come in and said, hey, listen, if you guys can get the zoning changed on this corner here, right? Like right now it's residential, there isn't a house within, 500 yards of it. We think would be good for a Kroger or a Walgreens or a gas station or something and not affect kind of the identity of the community. Then, we would look at the proposal and decide to, and others would come in and say, hey, we think, your best opportunity to generate sales tax revenue is through your downtown area and taking advantage of the people who are working at the hospital. So it was it was a battle to manage some of those. You had half of our board was kind of wanted one type of development, the other had.
Is there any success stories you want to share with us? Something which, what town Sunnyvale is looking for, commercial development, right? That's
So we did have some. So we were able to get a few concessions from some of the more, I would say, anti-development board members. And a lot of it is politics, picking and choosing your battles, right? And a lot of it was actually reaching out to the third-party hospital and having them go along with the proposals and say, hey, listen, we don't, we had some people who wanted to put a head tax on the hospital. And I go, that's a terrible idea because you're going to make an enemy of someone who has probably 25% of the land in town. So we reached out to them and we'd say, hey, would you be willing to contribute, a certain amount of funding, right, to this type of development if, the city did its best efforts to make sure that, this block here could turn into medical offices or some type of support services. And they would come back to us and say, hey, what we'd really like is we'll contribute to this commercial development in downtown if there can be some residential development here because we want to become a teaching hospital and it's tough to get people to travel the 40 miles from Chicago, here when they don't have a place to live out here. So that was probably the I would say the biggest success story is just getting everyone to come to the realization that this is, a very heavily leveraged stakeholder in our town that we should be bringing into, these decisions or reaching out to and trying to use them as an ally of the village instead of making an enemy of them.
Thank you. Council?
How long were you chair? And how long were you on P&Z?
I didn't hear the second.
How long were you in chair and how long were you on P&Z? As chair of P&Z, I should say.
So I would say about 2 years total and then a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the town?
Winfield?
That's west?
West.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say I think if you went as the crow flies, it's like 30 miles west, but driving is probably 50 or so.
As a relative size of the town, you said about 8,000 residents. Any feel for square mileage of the town? We're about 17 square miles.
Smaller than Sunnyvale. Certainly smaller than Sunnyvale. There's no 1,000-acre cattle ranches there. But I think we were probably, I don't know, if I had to guess, it's between 7 and 9 square miles or something.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, a little bit smaller.
And the only reason I ask that question is it gives an idea. I say this because this is to me it's true of what's happening, and what you described is a lot of that talent and capability that we would need to have. First, it's understanding how to partner with landowners, but also understanding what the needs are from outside resources, which end up being hopefully the business development. We're a town in transition, and it sounds like that's what you are dealing with as well, a town in transition. We don't want to lose a lot of the rural atmosphere that we have, but there's some parts of it that you have to give up, because that's just the way not just Sunnyvale is turning, but it's the way our society is turning. The growth in North Texas is forcing a lot of the demands on this town that we haven't really had to fight before. So that your background in that area on the P&Z side, to me, would be, I believe, would be an asset in that regard.
I can tell you, one of the things we did when we were looking to develop the downtown area, which we had a train stop, which was the biggest benefit that the town had. I know commuter rail is not as popular here as it is in suburban Chicago, but we had a train stop, which was important for us. There was a old feed and landscaping supply property that was near the train stop. And they were going out of business, but the property had value, but also had a lot of environmental issues with it. They had underground storage tanks and everything, and we reached out to them and said, hey, listen, if we can have someone start to take these environmental liabilities off your hand, right? Are you willing to maybe sell the property for a little bit less? And then we went to all the landowners next to them, and we're able to get not unanimity, but at least a consensus of people who would be on board with a plan, so that you have some people who don't walk into a board meeting and say, nobody will go for this, and you can say, hey, listen, we have 5 people who own an acre and a half right next to this highly desired property, who'd say, yeah, listen, here's a number, right? You guys meet this number, I am happy to take that and contribute to kind of the development of the community before it. And that was door to door. For it. And the people who weren't in favor of that type of development or piecing together parcels, you got to hear their reasons for it, right, and their concerns behind it. And you can identify with someone who, hey, my family's been here for 120 years, right? We don't, this.
And we have that just almost exactly virtually that same scenario happening today, as you're probably aware of with the corner of Beltline and Town East. So it's I would have loved for it to stay, this town to stay what it was when I moved here in 1979, but I also knew the realities of what was going to happen. We had a lot of it for as long as we could, and now it's about managing the growth that's going to happen, because the growth's inevitable. You just have to manage it, and that's part of the responsibility of the...
Yeah, there's plenty of room to grow, and I think one of the differences and probably benefits of Sunnyvale versus the town that I used to live in was is that there is a little bit more, I think, open space, and probably a fewer there isn't an already developed downtown area that is immediately next to a bunch of long-standing property owners, which was really where the heaviest conflict arose.
So,
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
real quick, development, open space, things like this.
Yeah.
The next question. So, how long? I didn't see on how long you've lived in Sunnyvale. How long have you been here?
Sure. So I moved down to Dallas in February, and we bought the house. We actually bought the house in January. I moved down here in February for work, and then supervised kind of like the completion of it. No, last year. Last year.
Okay.
And then we had the kids finish up the school year till like the middle of May, and so we moved in the middle of May.
Cool. Okay. And so, relatively new to town, which is fresh eyes on
Yes,
these
yes.
kids. So, these two bodies kind of control how we're going to develop, how we're going to build out. You take a look at those things, do they fit here. So, if I were to ask you, just in the short time you've been here, your vision of what Sunnyvale should be in the future, what's kind of your just Reader's Digest version of what that would look like for you?
Sure. I can explain. I can tell you one thing I like and would like to see maybe expanded on. And one thing that my town really lacked is you guys do have a good area set aside for some light industrial development. The town that I was a police officer in for, they had no property tax on their residents because they were able to develop an industrial park and keep it separated from residential areas. So I would like to see, some development of that, right? I think Beltline Road is very attractive. I know we have land on this side of it here. Collins, I think, is going to develop as well, closer to kind of the 80 corridor. And I think there's opportunity for commercial development and sales tax revenue there. And so I would, if you ask kind of from the 30,000 foot view, I would say, that's what I would like to see, right? And maybe a bit of a slowdown on, we live, there's a number of houses going in, Stony Creek, I think Spring Lake Estates, and, my wife and I, we would go for a bike ride probably once a week and go through, and I think it's the Preserve is what it's called off of Town East. We're a little bit alarmed over how slow those are filling out. And, I know a lot of costs of the city, and I know that developers pay for some of it, but, and all the way down by, I think it's St. James, it's called, there's a lot that just doesn't seem to be filling in at the rate that would either be expected of, the people who approved it, or that would be promised, to the village by, a developer or a home builder. So that's one thing that probably, raises our eyebrows, is to look at that and say, okay, how is there so much that, hasn't been filled in yet, and yet more being built?
Awesome.
Robert, in the interest of time, do you have any questions for us?
I don't. The descriptions online were very helpful. Otherwise, I'd say, reach out to me via email or anything if you have other questions. So I'm assuming you guys have a number of contracts that come across your desk to look at and sign off for. I do that for, 8 to 15 hours a day looking at those, and I like things that involve an attention to detail and forward thinking and playing the long game.
We've got a couple of council members who are attorneys, and also we've got staff.
They're not all bad.
So just to pique your interest, and I saw the municipal police office for 11 years.
That was.
And sometime in the future, we'll be talking about forming a citizens committee to talk about what to do about the police department here in town. Just keep your ears open when that comes up.
So Winfield had one of the smaller municipal police departments in the state, and it took up, we had about $5.5 million budget, which, I went over just for my committee position, and about 2.5 of it was to fund the police department. Things like having a jail, having squad cars, paying officers, pension obligations, and we got into negotiations with the county sheriff. We got into negotiations with neighboring communities. We had a police union to deal with. We had administrators who were trying to say, "Oh, well, just fire the whole department and keep me around," and stuff. And so we ran into a lot of issues, and it was a big deal in our town for a while.
Yeah.
So I would love to be involved with
Awesome.
that.
Awesome.
Robert, hey, thanks for your time. The plan is
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So no need to get.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
You guys have a good evening.
thanks.
And Mark Eldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Right this way, Robert.
We were gonna make it through 5 days.
So what? Yeah. I know some of you didn't get to ask questions, so if you want to start next round, feel free to do that.
Ryan covered mine well.
So what?
Ryan covered my question well.
Okay, good. Okay. How's the AC working?
How's what?
The AC.
How's a lot better.
Your bills may go down.
I hope. But,
Changing it up on y'all, Ernest Burton. He has a meeting to be at. It's the-
How are you, sir? Good, how are you tonight?
Good to see you again. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for your service
Sir,
again.
sir. You're welcome. How are you? How are you? Ernest Burton. Ernest, how you doing?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, please. I still cannot recognize the rank. Is it a major or not? Like,
Lieutenant Colonel.
Lieutenant. Oh, very nice.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That's all fine. That's pretty. Okay, very nice. Colonel Burton, again, thanks for being with us and thanks for applying for this position. Can you talk about your police academy, and I'm assuming that you are still not, you're in the service now or you're not in the service?
I'm retired. I work
Retired.
now. I'm a junior RTC at Horn High School.
Gotcha.
So we lived in Mesquite for 8 years since we got here in Texas. So we try to do a lot of things in Mesquite. One of the latest things we did was be a part of the police academy.
Okay.
And that was,
Wow.
we're still part of it right now. So it's a great experience to help out the community.
So why PNZ or ethics?
I'm sorry.
Why did you, what's your interest in the PNZ?
It's just something we want to make sure we still be a part of the community.
Gotcha.
And we just get into Sunnyvale, and we want to just jump right into things here. And the best way is to be there and help out where we can.
Okay. Council, questions for Colonel Burton?
How long have you been here? Lived in Sunnyvale, I should
Moved
say.
in Sunnyvale in May.
In May? Okay. Where are you, what, are you in a particular division?
In the
or-
fall.
In the fall.
In the fall? Ah, so you're over by where my daughter is.
So was your background military? What was your?
Right. I was the majority of the time I was human resources.
Okay.
Awesome. You've applied for both ethics and P&Z. Do you have a preference on either one, like either one of those?
I don't have a preference. I just want wherever I can help out.
Wherever you can serve.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you say ethics, do you have any like vision of what? I think the mayor maybe can explain a little bit to you about where we are on ethics. But did you have any kind of thoughts or vision on
My
that?
last job was I was the command inspector general for the division in Atlanta, one of our medical units. And with us, with ethics, we had a chance to go out and talk to people. It's like talk to the community, find out what's right, what's wrong, what can we fix to see what's going on, to counsel to take the pulse of the command. And I think with Sunnyvale, we still want to see what the people say, how they think things are going, and hopefully with that we can bring that back to the table and say, okay, here's the things that the people are saying.
Awesome. Thank you.
Council, question for Colonel Burton. So let me give a quick summary of, so we had 3 rounds of interviews. Today is the last round. So we hope to place or fill all these positions tonight.
Yes, sir.
As far as ethics committee is concerned, we are still in the process of defining the charter and the scope. So that committee will be a little bit late. It'll get started, but it's going to be won't be immediate. It's going to take a little bit of time before the committee can get started.
Okay.
Because the council has to agree upon the scope.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, sir.
I want to say thank you very much.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for waiting and thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think his wife is Lisa Burton, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I saw his wife too for
At 333 Sedona, yeah.
same thing. Ethics.
Yeah,
P&Z.
moved in May 2018. Education.
Yes, May. She's in education.
Community and ethics? Yeah.
20 plus years in so work.
This is Miss Burton's.
Hi, sir. Brian Finch.
Hi,
Pleasure to meet you.
Lisa
Thank you.
Burton.
I did let her out.
Ms. Burton, how are you?
Good, nice to meet you.
And I met you just briefly walking in, Marky. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
And you also served in 20 years as a reserve.
I'm still serving.
You're still serving?
Just got promoted, so I
Ah,
got 36 more months.
Very nice. What's the new rank?
Lieutenant Colonel.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So Lieutenant Colonel and Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes,
So
2 Lieutenant Colonels.
Very good. Excellent, excellent.
Yes, so I'm gonna do 36 more months. And
So what do you do in the military?
I work with the medical brigade. I'm medical asset to the Army, so I work with a bunch of doctors and nurses.
Wow.
But I'm a patient administrative officer. That's my AOC.
Gotcha. Very nice.
Thank you for your service.
Council, question for Colonel Burton.
So you listed the same possibilities as your husband, ethics and P&Z.
Yes.
Just a question for you. If you were both on ethics,
Is that unethical?
no,
You know, the word just, I'm gonna be honest, the word just stood out to me because I am an ethics trainer for Texas Education Agency. I go out to school districts and train teachers and staff on ethical behavior as a Texas educator. So I'm like, maybe I know a little something about ethics.
so do you work at Region 9?
Region 10.
Region 10, okay.
Yes.
Oh, have you done anything here in Sunnyvale?
I have not done Sunnyvale training. We just finished up 2 days at Grand Prairie last week. We trained all their APs. So we had to do it over 2 days.
I know, we're ethical. I'm just saying,
You're ethical?
Doug is, you never know. I'm just kidding. I was on the school board side.
Oh, okay.
So before this, 4 years.
No, haven't heard.
Okay,
Haven't had to come out.
good.
We read your background. Do you have any questions for us, Carl?
No, I kind of read a little bit of a little brief synopsis about it when it was posted online. So my husband and I, we've always been active wherever we are, whether we were living on a military base or whatever community. We've always been pretty active, trying to do what we need to do in our community. We serve on our, real big with our HOA. I was the HOA president.
Which HO was that one?
Yeah,
Where
no,
was that?
Mesquite.
Mesquite.
And we joined the Mesquite Police Academy, so we're still officially citizen police. They didn't kick us off because we moved to Sunnyvale. They allowed us to stay, so we try to attend the monthly meetings and volunteer some time there when we can.
I noticed that you just moved here, May 2018.
We just moved
So
in
thank you
May.
for showing interest and
Oh,
wanting
yeah.
to be
Yeah,
involved.
We
Right
love
away.
it. We love it here so far.
Okay.
Still getting to know everybody and everything.
It's great.
That's a great neighborhood also. Falls is great.
Oh, yes, I love
Great
it.
place,
We
yeah.
love it.
Some big houses, nice houses. So I was telling your husband earlier, the process is we've gone through 3 weeks of interview.
Yes.
Today's the last week, so
Okay.
last day. We hope to make decisions today. As far as ethics committee is concerned, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. We haven't quite defined the scope and the charter for the committee
Okay.
because it can go in different directions, depends on what it is. Our staff is working with the legal counsel to get that defined before that comes to council, this council, then we make the decision that way. Okay, so if any other questions, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for the
Thank you.
time.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Okay, have a good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Where are we on the ethics thing?
Leslie?
Soon?
Yes.
What was your question on?
Where are we on the ethics development of the?
Define soon.
Yeah, I see how those in a second.
I think there's a little bit of an issue with the attorney's availability
Yes.
for his
Thank
personal
you.
career decisions. So that's
Good evening.
Hey, how are you, Ryan Finch?
Mark Eldridge. Good to meet you, Ryan.
Pleasure.
Yeah, Mark, nice to
Good
meet
to
you.
meet you.
Mr. Evans, my wife,
Good to meet you, sir. We talked on the way in.
Talked on the way in, Mark.
Yeah,
Good
good
to meet you.
Jim Wade, good to meet you.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Well, Kevin.
So Mitch, your neighbors outside there, right?
Yeah.
Did you know them before?
Oh, gotcha.
Only by text. We dropped off notes, kind of introduced each other through the mailbox. That was about it. And I've seen them out running, but this is the first time to meet them, so it's kind of nice.
Gotcha.
They just moved in, like, 3 months ago.
Yeah,
so
it's
they
like
said-
May or something. Very nice.
Real nice couple.
Mr. Eldridge, thanks for
Oh.
taking time to apply for this position.
Thank you.
I'm going to open up the council. I've been talking. Council, any questions for Mr. Eldridge?
You applied for both of our economic or development boards, 4A and 4B. I assume you know the difference between them both. They kind of somewhat serve the same purpose, but which one? What drives you to those boards? What's your passion?
My passion, I've had an interesting history in my career of kind of saying yes to anything that comes our way.
Okay.
Benefit of that being, get applied creative solutions, right? Those problems that people can't really solve on their own, they come to you and say, can you do this? You kind of figure it as you go. advantage of that is it kind of changes your mindset and you find ways to do things creatively, do things in your own way. You know, things don't have their own path already developed for them. It's creativity, right? And I think there's a similarity between my own career and government to some extent is that, you know, you're dealing with limited funds, you're dealing with problems that aren't always, you know, clear cut, right? You got a lot of people involved, a lot of parties involved. You know, you got to get people together, get them to agree. So it's one of the things that Economic Development Board is big for me because I think, you know, Sunnyvale's got a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of, I think, potential creative solutions to meet our, you know, our citizens' needs.
So how many 4A4B meetings have you attended? And to kind of know how that works, because business is slightly different than, quite different than the government.
Mm-hmm.
How many meetings have you attended so far? Whatever it takes on that.
I've attended one meeting and it was months ago.
Okay. And anything interesting or any thoughts on what can be done different or?
You know, the big thing I would think is we have a small community, which is nice, right? The town of Sunnyvale is small. Upside of that is we can, I think, reach people better, right? I think getting more community involvement, more feedback from our own citizens would be great. Hear what they want to have done, hear what they want to need in their community. That'd be nice. You know, I see attendance, and attendance isn't the greatest, right? So, you know, we've got to find ways to improve that, right? And we get lots of emails, we have the app, those are great, reach out to people. But in the end, it only seems to resonate, I think, with a very small, minute portion of people who already know about these things, right? So it's kind of like you're already preaching to the choir. So we need to find new ways to reach them, right? Involve more people, right? That's, you know, we had a great, what was that, the 4th of July, or no, New Year's. That was a great turnout, right? Maybe you have to take, you know, opportunities like that to bring up big topics, talk to people about things, you know, kind of hit the streets.
Just FYI, October 2nd, right? It's a national night out.
Yes.
So.
It's also my birthday, so I think it's
Yeah.
There you go. That's the reason why. That's the
why we
reason
did
You brought it up, I was like,
We just picked
you
it.
know so much about me.
What do you recommend as a way? How can we be different? What can we do different? I know you said we got to do something different. Any thoughts on what can we do different to reach out to more people and get them engaged in council meetings and different boards and commissions?
You know, nothing brings people in like free food and music. That's why I bring the New Year's Eve thing.
And he's a great singer also.
See?
And we wanted to bring him here.
A dancer.
And you can grill very well.
You know, I think that, partnering with the schools, you know, most people moved here for the schools. I'm one of them, I'm included, right? I mean, if it was, if I didn't have my kids, I live downtown next to my office and just, you know, walk to work every day, right? But instead I bought like a 2-acre lot and I'm spending my weekends mowing and cursing, but you know, it's what it is. But I came for the schools because I love my kids. I think partnering with the schools more and getting, you know, I see Kevin at school all the time. It's great. You have a councilman you can talk to all the time, right? I think getting more of that. Getting to schools, you can capture people there easily. They're there all the time. Having events with the teachers, having them drag the students in, do more events here, right? Students will bring the parents, things like that. A couple ideas off the top of my head.
Question? Council question from Mr.
How long have you lived here?
We bought the lot 3 years ago, moved here, we'll finish building last November. So
Okay.
almost a year now.
That's almost a year now.
I've been paying taxes for 3 years. To be fair.
Thank you very much. And what is your background? You may have said it, I missed it, but what is your
I didn't
background?
say it. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. So background is what they call legal operations now, but deep roots in computer forensics, e-discovery. Now it's more of as you mature, get older, they want you to handle money, right? So it's more budgetary financing. I kind of like, if you want to really summarize it up, kind of the chief operations officer of a small legal team, right?
Sure.
So I deal with all the vendors, deal with the problems the lawyers can't handle, right? Because you're one non-lawyer in the room, so they come to you and go, how do we do this?
Yeah.
Right? Figure out anything that's not law and how to do that, right?
Yeah.
So,
We experienced that here occasionally.
yeah, they call me the miscellaneous drawer, or like the old Mary Poppins analogy, remember that guy with all the different instruments, you know? I'm that guy. It's like
Jack of
every
all
day's my
trades,
bad.
master of none. I've had that label. Yeah.
Exactly.
Me too.
Awesome.
So is 44B, are those the only two things that you're considering? That you would
They're
consider?
the, if I was to rank them, definitely the top ones that I want to be on. I think it's the most potential impact on the community, for sure.
Would you consider as kind of a part-time thing, because I think it's what it's going to be, at least the meetings aren't going to be consistently every month once we get it developed, but would you consider the Ethics Commission
Completely.
as part of it? Because it sounds like with what your background has been, you've had exposure to how people can do things under the table that shouldn't be done under the table. And it might be,
Very fair to
so
say.
you might have a possible dual role, and was just curious whether or not you would have any objection to
Totally.
that.
I have no objection to it. fact, it's funny you bring it up, ethics, I'm actually a certified ethical hacker.
Yeah.
Wait,
Which I always laugh about, because I do
ethical
certify
hacker?
someone's ethics. But, yeah, they do.
Can you tell them how to do it?
Yeah, I'm like, so does that mean I know what to do, but I can choose whether or not to do it? It's like, I'm gonna do that.
Ethical hacker, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
My kids think it's awesome because they tell their friends, my dad's a hacker. I'm like, no, don't say that. That's a real job. Like, the government's going to come knocking and be like, unreported income, we think.
Do you have any questions for us, Mr. Andrews?
Trying to think, anything big. What are you guys looking for, right, in community? What are you guys looking to do in the next?
Involvement of our community, just almost exactly what you said. We have opportunities. These opportunities come about, and we, quite frankly, over the years, and I've been involved, I've only been on council for now 3 years, but I've been 9 years planning and zoning before that. Number one, we always have trouble getting enough of the vacancies filled for these boards and commissions. And number two, the difficulty of getting people to come to the meetings and listen. These ladies right here are at virtually every meeting this town ever has, which is a good thing. But that's only 3 out of 3,000 possible voters. So it's one of the ways that we can have more people have more, because even when I was on P&Z, people used to ask me, well, what about that piece of property and why is that? Because you're being asked about it because you're involved with the town. And you know, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, and that is the scenario that we have. People say, well, I don't have enough time to go to the meetings, so that's why I'm talking to you. And that's what you're probably going to hear more of than you will hear of anything, is I don't have time to go to the meeting.
Yeah. So I took her off. And then-
Just thank you for your service, and that's why everyone in this room, at least who's not on a paycheck, well, none of the rest of us are on a paycheck. You know, it's our devoted and dedicated time to showing up. So we're looking for people who, I hate to say warm and breathing, but it's almost to that point. You know,
You start off really well. Maybe it's time to stop.
Not quite that desperate.
It used to be.
We got actually this year we've been very fortunate. A lot of good applicants. Again, that's something good about Sunday. Sunday, a lot of qualified, educated, experienced professionals in this community, and so they all want to be involved. I think so.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
It's a good thing. Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit hard time to figure out who to pick and who not.
Well, I think you're planning a big generational shift too, right? I mean, Sunnyvale's got a younger generation coming in, right? So that's a big piece of it. So how do you reach that audience? How do you communicate with them? How do you bring them in? Lots are required. They're not big on formal stuff. They're not big on coming to formal meetings and having the formal structure. So maybe a lot more of, you know, pushing things through apps, communications, more informal events, things like that, which I think would be very fruitful. Just change the way you do things, right?
Yeah. As long as you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Really appreciate it. Great to meet you too. Scar Club, right?
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
Great to meet you too. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
No, I don't think.
Is that the last one?
One more. Mandy Evans.
Thank you. Oh, good to meet you. Yeah, I was looking for you outside. Awesome.
I'm sitting in here listening to everything.
Listen to everything? Yeah, picking up on it.
Did you come and I just forgot, or you see the post?
What's that? Oh, no, I got them a few
Okay.
times. Every time I go, they're like, you need to meet Ryan. I'm like,
Yeah. I've probably
Where is
missed
he?
quite a few.
Yeah, at this point, I thought you were fictitious. They're making you up. Like some imaginary friend they all had.
He is fictitious.
Yeah, I was like, I think this dude's real.
Did you mean fake? That's what you meant by it?
I'm not sure about
Can't
that.
talk about that. It's all confidential. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mark.
They call it fake. That's what it's called. Just kind of translating for you.
I'm like, whoa, he
Man.
goes about a secret club. Whoa, wait a minute.
No, I was thinking, so you said that, I'm like, no. I didn't do the handshake, and I was like, do we have a application for the next one?
Mandy Evans, we do. Somewhere I saw it.
I don't know who it is. Who is it?
Mandy Evans.
Oh.
She's a relative. But she's someone in one of the school also.
Did I see him, maybe? I don't either. I printed them all. Mandy Evans, do you have that?
sorry.
Sounds like something I'd expect from her.
I wasted it.
We're supposed to be snarky and fun.
I've got one
Oh,
out.
sorry, we're on the clock.
What's the page number? Anybody remember?
I can look it up. I don't know.
So we have Mandy.
We do.
Oh, Mandy.
Hey, the page number is 20.
Page 20?
Mm-hmm. That's the last one.
So question while we're waiting. If I'm not mistaken, historically, we have appointed the chairman of the BOA, is that correct?
I believe so.
That's the only chairman we've appointed.
That's right. We lost James, right?
Hey, man. Hi, Ryan Finch.
Hi, Mandy Evans.
Yes.
Larry Allen, that's what
Mandy.
We always like to shake hands when people come in, Mark, you can sit up.
They know how to shake hands with us, that's all.
I mean, one of these two, for sure.
SEF.
For me,
I'm on the SEF board now, so I was on, and I guess I missed your time.
I think I was there like, well.
Yeah, 12 to 14, as you
14,
said, so I must have
so.
missed that, because I was on, I had to get off of it, but then, anyway, so,
I
cool.
was when Carrie
Oh,
was
okay,
there.
yeah.
I was
very
there when
interesting,
Carrie
yeah,
was there.
Yep, yep, okay, yep.
So Mandy, you've been living in Sunnyvale since 2012,
Yes,
and you live in Stony Creek, right? Mallard Drive, right?
correct, off Robin Ridge.
Okay. And you're a realtor. What's your background?
Yes.
Talk to me about, I know you've been involved in the school as a VP of SEF. Why 4B?
Well, I spend a lot of time in the Hill Country right now, in LaGrange. And I kind of compare it to our sweet little town that we have here. And this year we went and they had a fair there and there's lots of stuff going on. And I just look at what they're doing there and I think, oh my gosh, we could do this so much better than they're doing. I mean, there's so many things that we could do here. And my friend Sarah Bradford, I know, is involved in them. And I was telling her, I said, oh, y'all, we got to do some stuff and we need to get things going. And I'd love to see us have a fair or something fun like we did the farmer's market for a little while,
Yeah.
but it didn't last long. And I just think I just want to be involved in what can make us have more things here in our town instead of always going to Rockwall or always going to Forney or always going to Mesquite. I mean, we have so much opportunity here.
Have you brought any of those ideas to 4B, or have you attended a 4B meeting?
I have not actually attended one, no. Usually I've come to lots of council meetings.
Because I know the president of the 4B really would love to hear from you.
He happens to be
He's ready,
here.
right?
I mean, seriously, they are looking for ideas. Whether you are a member of the 4B or not, right? They are looking for ideas
Right.
and ways to get engaged. Talk to them. And they want to hear. They want to. Council, question for Ms. Evans.
So we don't have a chicken ranch here then, right?
I do. We probably don't need one of those here.
Yes, we do.
My son-in-law's from LaGrange. So.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So have you thought about bringing a chicken ranch here?
No, I'm thinking we probably
It's a
don't want
4B
that.
development possibility.
Just to clarify, we did not shut the farmer's market down, it left on its own.
Oh, it did. See, I had.
We did not.
Yeah, I figured
In
you
fact, we
probably
wish it had
didn't.
shut down.
Yeah, I was afraid that probably we just didn't get enough activity on it, was my
That's what it probably
concern.
was, but it was their decision.
Sure, because there wasn't enough activity in there. And that kind of stuff probably just takes time to.
Well, they're actually, that particular group is actually struggling in some other areas as
Oh, are
well.
they? Because I think
They're
that's
having trouble in Casalinda. Now, they're rebuilding the parking lots in Casalinda, but they're having trouble in
Wow.
Casalinda.
So, Mandy, I see you listed just 4B. We only have one opening there. We have quite a few applicants, so I was curious if there's anything else you looked at. 4A does some stuff. If there's anything else you looked at that you had interest in.
I've always been happy to be involved in what's going on in the town in any way that I can contribute. That particular one probably was more geared towards my neighbor being
you have some
there.
passion for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we talk sometimes, not that she divulges anything, but I just, know when she has
Sarah.
meetings and, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so really that would be the only reason why I would say that one
Absolutely.
hard and fast versus any other. I
Gotcha.
mean,
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure because
no,
there's
if there's a
there's
need,
only
there's-
one. I think there's only one opening, right?
Sure.
So let's.
How long have you lived in the area in general?
Well, before we moved to Sunnyvale, we lived in Mesquite for 14 years.
Okay, that's what I was kind of looking for.
So we've been in the area. My husband went to Skyline High School, so he's been in the area his whole life.
A long time.
Yes.
Awesome.
So,
Any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Council, any questions for Ms. Evan? Last chance.
No, awesome.
Thank you very much for taking time to come and visit.
Thanks a lot.
Coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, Mandy.
Bye.
Council, I think we have an agenda to discuss the item here, and Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Wade brought up the idea of bringing up the Board of Adjustment. So can we start from there? So I think there are two people asking for reappointment, which is Gene Hall and Jack Kirkland. James Golder was the previous president. I think he term limit out. So
I know Gene's been the chair.
Gene is the chair, so probably.
Lyndon James needs to move up from an alternate to a regular position.
Does he want to?
Well, you assume you would if you're an alternate.
I think that's a great idea.
Mayor
Yeah,
and Council, can I interrupt real quick?
Yes.
Just a reminder, Rachel got 2 applications today. Are y'all wanting to go ahead and move forward with appointments, or do you want to wait and get the...
Rachel, do you feel they're very strong candidates or okay candidates?
No opinion.
Well, how do we look on total numbers?
I think we are good where we are today.
I
One
hate,
of them's really strong.
One of them.
One of them's really strong.
Really? Did you see it?
I do have somebody that was on the BOA for quite some time. It's applied for the BOA.
There's one or two, correct?
Okay.
One of them was on the BOA before. I'm
Who are
sorry.
they?
The other
Who's
one, I
that?
do not think, Mr. Walt Thomas. And,
Okay.
And Jerry Lewis is the other one I know that's applied.
Yeah, I don't know who's Jerry Lewis is.
That's it.
Yeah, I know.
Is that who it was? Okay.
Is he pretty strong?
Pretty strong. Lives in Stone Canyon.
Okay.
I hate, because people put their application in, there's a certain expectation. I hate to lose out on that opportunity. On the other hand, we only have so many positions.
And we don't have, I mean, on BOA,
So we have Emery Powell, we have Karen Hill, we have Robert White, we have Soji John. So 4 people applied, 3 positions open.
and are we moving into discussion on these applicants?
Yes.
I think
It is
yes,
on
I
the
think that's
agenda.
it's posted on the agenda.
Are we going to consider these other 2 candidates?
That's
We need to
That's what
approve-
y'all
That's
got
what
to
she was
decide.
If
asking.
we're going to, then we had to move this out.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's any urgency. Is there?
We told people that we are going to make a decision today.
Biggest problem is if in the next 2 weeks you get another 2 applications.
Right, let's
then
keep
what do
moving.
you
No,
do?
when you
Yeah, we
cut
had
it
a
off.
deadline. I hate it too. I hate
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah. You know what? We got 2 or 3 different bodies coming up. You know, if they can commit. We have 2 or 3 different citizens body coming up. So they can participate if they choose to. My thought is we move forward, but I'll leave it to the council.
Let's move forward.
You're good with it, everybody?
Sure hate to lose somebody that I know is so well qualified.
Me too.
Tom.
Yeah.
me too.
Because
I'd like
it's
to
been
hear
there
from
before.
them. I don't think it's an emergency.
In fact, we, in my opinion, only have one strong person on BOA anyway. So I hate to lose somebody like Walt.
But
I
like you
think-
said, when you cut it off,
When you cut it off,
Well, we haven't, I mean, it's not like we received any more. We received 2 and since we closed it, right? And so it's not like there's a flood.
and it wasn't like we hadn't advertised this for
That's
some
not true.
period of
We
time.
Not
received
true.
more? We
Not
received
true.
more
The
than-
last 3 that you did today
We're after the deadline?
were after the deadline.
So we've already violated that rule.
yeah, I mean, we've already kept it open.
We should
Well,
hear-
we
should
were
hear these
still-
2 and end it.
Yes.
But
an
I'm just
interview process.
saying, what I think to his point is, you could still keep having them flood in. I mean, you could still keep getting.
I know
this
3 or
could
4
keep
people
going
call me
on
after
and
the
on
fact.
and
you know.
on.
I said, you
Now,
got to talk to the
these-
staff and get the numbers.
These were all at the beginning of last week, so we haven't had any in the last week until day of.
Well, if we've heard these after the supposed deadline, we should hear the ones that are pending and then tell everybody from here on out that this is, we're cut off.
It'll stop
For
now.
this cycle, no more. That way we're consistent with hearing some that have passed the deadline.
Do you want to pick a new deadline?
Here are the two that met the
If you're
deadline.
going to do it, we got to pick a new deadline. So we got to
Yeah.
post the deadline if you're going to do it.
And we
But the
gotta
thing
go
is,
to
we never reopen the
October.
deadline. So
Yeah,
are we
but
gonna open it
eighth,
again?
whatever
That's
that
my
date
question.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think we have to post a new deadline because we already accepted applications past the deadline, right? So we
But
already-
within the interview time period. That's what.
But these
that's
were
what-
within the interview time period as well. Because we're
Came in
interviewing
today.
today. I mean,
Not-
we're interviewing today, so they submitted them for today, so that's
Yeah,
within
but
the interview time period, right?
Interviews, these positions are sent out the package was sent out on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
So probably Wednesday was the cutoff in my mind.
When did they apply? Did they apply before Wednesday?
today. They both applied today, afternoon.
I'm not opposed to it. If you're going to do it, then we had to open up.
And I'll be honest, one of them, I feel like I have to put this out there. One of them I do not have in my hand. I've just heard he is going to turn it in tonight.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, if we have something in hand, I know the one guy that applied. I
I
personally
think
like
we
to
gotta
hear.
move on then.
I'd like to hear that. Do what?
Yeah.
Council, what's the pressure?
Again, the quality of the individuals that have been mentioned really make an impression upon me, but I understand we have a process. I don't know that we're under any specific burdens that we can't delay it any longer, but what happens if we get some more in?
We do have good candidate pool, I think. I think we have a strong candidate pool.
I mean, I've got my list, so I mean, I was ready to go, not knowing that.
Okay, let me ask you, anybody is,
Four people.
how many are opposed to moving forward? Okay, sounds like a move forward. Okay, can we start at the Board of Adjustments?
What?
Board of Adjustments.
I'm going to renominate Gene Holt, Jack Kirkland.
Okay,
I move that we, I don't move anything, I suggest that we.
Lyndon James moving out?
James a full member,
okay.
and I had alternates listed as Robert White and Soji John.
How about Karen Hill? We have 3 positions open.
Oh, he just filled it.
You moved
I
up.
filled everything I know of.
I know, but
You
yeah,
moved up Lyndon.
I know, if we move it up, we still have 3 positions open. Net, there are 3 opening. Can we make Karen and Robert White the regular and Soji the alternate? Or something else? Am I right, Leslie? There are 3 positions open, right?
That's correct, there are 3 open. Let me go back here.
Well, I filled 3 positions.
So you're saying you want,
Gene, Jack,
Correct. James, when James move forward, right?
James move up,
oh, I'm sorry, I hear what you're saying.
so then you have 2 alternates and 1 regular. And what did you say?
He's the chairman, is Gene Holt. I don't want to speak for you,
We've got
but
to recognize that this schedule is not the same as this schedule.
Yeah.
Correct.
That may be what's throwing me off.
okay.
Go by your attendance
So
sheet.
Gene has to be renominated, Jack has to be renominated. Lyndon's gonna move up to one of the positions.
To full-time as an alternate, yes.
So Gene is renominated, right?
Right.
Yes.
Just 1 second, let me renominated, and Jack is renominated,
Right.
correct? And
Lyndon fills one.
Lyndon also is going to be renominated and move up to be a regular member, correct?
Yeah, that's what you said,
And I
right?
would put Robert White in there as a full member.
Okay. How about Karen? We have Karen, Emery,
I had
Robert
Karen-
White, Soji.
I had slotted Karen on P and Z because of her experience.
I was going to put Lisa Burton there. Just going to give different people opportunity, and she has.
Yeah, I
What-
like having some different,
I'm sorry.
I think I would support having some different views. I know, I get your point about the longevity, but.
So if you, yeah.
So
You're going to
are
put
we
Karen
on
for
Board of
the-
Adjustment?
So let me
We're
ask
still on
1
Board of
second.
Adjustment.
If you're going to put Karen for the PNC, are you proposing Emery Hill for the Emery Howard for BOA? Because that's only up. Okay.
Imposed, Saji, right?
Soji John.
Soji.
So we have 4 applicants, right?
You still have-
We have 3 Emery and 3 other people, right? So 3 needs to be, if Emery is not the person, then 3 has to be put in the Board of Adjustment. That means Karen Hill, Soji John, and
Robert White.
Robert White.
Yeah, I like.
Sounds good?
I like that proposal.
Okay.
Okay, so Karen, who's going in
So
alternate?
Jean Holt,
Is
right,
renominated.
and Kirkland and
Renom-
James are going to be renominated, and James is going to become a regular member.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he said Robert White as a regular, and so you're gonna put Karen as alternate, or you're gonna put Robert as,
I think Karen should be a regular. What do you think?
I'm okay with that.
So Karen and Robert White as a regular member and Soji as an alternate. Everybody good with that?
No,
No, it's Soji and Robert White as alternates.
alternates,
No.
yes,
yes.
Because we moved up.
Lyndon
We moved
James.
up Lyndon to a regular,
Yes.
I know,
and
guys.
so that we have the 2 alternate slots.
No, we don't. We only have 1 alternate position of. We
No.
have. I got it. Yeah. Robert White and,
Soji will be
Yes.
alternates.
Robert White and Soji would be alternates. You would move Lyndon up, Karen as a regular, renominate Jean and Jack.
Okay. Moving on to PNC.
We talk about P and Z for a moment.
Okay.
Last year, we made, or several years ago, per our discussions, we made a commitment to look at attendance records.
Correct.
When you have them.
Correct.
And we acted on that last year by demoting, so to speak, someone because of attendance.
Correct.
Well, this year, if we look at the attendance,
Right.
Okafor has 4 absences. Mitchell has 4 absences. Daniel has 4 absences. Sandler has
So
3.
this year, if you're talking about 2018, Daniel has 1 absence.
Well, I'm talking about the last term. I'm not talking
Okay.
about last,
If you have January onwards, Daniel has 1.
well, I counted 4, so let's look at the list.
Okay.
We're
I
on
see.
the list.
If this is the term, there are 4.
Right.
Right. 3 then, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So that bothers me because we've got half of the board that's got 4 absences. And,
But if you look at the trend, I know Shiny had her dad in the hospital for a while. If you look at
we can
2018,
all look at excuses, but we're just counting absences.
right, but 2018, she has 1 absence. I'm just looking at the last 9 months.
If we're going to look at 2018, then we can adjust everybody else also.
Be sure.
So why would we
But
only
we're not
look
doing
at?
that though.
I'm just
We haven't
giving-
done that historically.
I'm just saying, what's been the norm?
The norm is if somebody has attendance issue, we either kick them out or keep them in the as an alternate.
Over what period of time?
I don't know. Yeah.
What have we done in the past over what period of time? Have we had a precedence?
That I know of, the precedence has been, it's over the term.
Okay.
It's not over the.
I just wanna make sure we do it
It's not over the
consistently.
calendar year,
Whatever
it's
we're
over the
doing, let's
term.
do it consistently.
Because that's the only way that you can get a good measurement, is over the term.
But we also look at a trend, right? Somebody had issues in the beginning, they got better.
Yeah, but
Well, we can justify
But
the issues,
I will yield to you.
the reasons
I'm sorry.
separately from the,
I know, but how would we know, to your
Yes.
point, and I don't disagree, but how would we know the
No.
issues with everybody unless they made it known?
So what again?
How would we know the issues unless they made it known to us? It just so happens Shiny, we know because it was posted, but how
Right.
would we know, how can
don't
we
know.
take that in consideration with everybody else?
I don't.
In a-
Can't.
In amount of
Right.
fairness. I'm just
Right.
trying to,
Right. So the question is, okay, so Mr. Wade, finish your point. I know you're heading some direction.
The issue that, you know, I've got on here to renominate Okafor and Sandler. But if we apply the same rule that we applied last year with regards to attendance, they would not be regular
half
members.
of them would be, if you're going by 4.
So let me ask you, just kind of move forward, right? Do we agree with the reappointing Ken Demko? Yes?
yes.
Okay. The question is Anthony Okafor and Sandler is ready for reappointment.
I'm good with it.
Any objection?
Just say it again. This,
Demko is reappointment. The question was about Anthony Okafor and Josh Sandler. Both are time for reappointment. The question was, what I heard is, at least one person is good with it, right?
I'm good.
Now we
So
have,
Will Demco remain the chairman? or
Yes.
will they-
No,
That's up to you.
that's up to the committee.
The board appoints the chairman.
I'm sorry,
The board
The board
appoints
appoints
that.
the chairman.
but I don't know if they
And the
reappoint
vice.
every year or not, but okay, that's
It's
different.
done every year.
Okay, so we have one opening, right?
So did y'all say yes to reappointment? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yes.
To both?
Yeah, yes.
All three.
Okay, thank you.
So then we have 4 applicants, Emery Powell, Karen Hill, we already have a position for her, Robert White, we already have a position for him, Lisa Burton, Ernest Burton.
And note that this is an alternate position that's
It's only
open.
an alternate position. I like Lisa Burton for ethics.
Which if you look at their past history, over the past.
Now we have a Don Klein position open. Correct?
You have an alternate
No.
position
Alternate
open.
only.
Alternate only.
Wait. So what happened to Don Klein?
He
Term
was,
expired
he was
27.
reappointed last year.
He took Becker's place.
Yes,
So he's on.
he is on.
Okay, so there's no opening as a regular member.
No,
It's only alternate.
alternate.
Okay. So the only position we have is alternate. Okay, that's great. So the position, again, just well process of elimination, right? We have Lisa Burton or Ernest Burton. Or Emery Powell. I should mention that. I'm just going to say Lisa Burton only because of her background, the military and the ethics and all of them. But it's your call.
Yeah, she would be good for ethics
Yeah.
because of her.
Okay.
But that's not the reason to put her on P and Z.
Temporary.
No, not at all. That's exactly this.
However, well, but taking that into consideration, and let's not even think about anybody that goes on to ethics. Let's fill the boards that we know we have.
Yeah.
And the ethics, we can come back and we can pull from some of those people.
Because you can serve,
Because
you can serve on
you can
ethics
serve
and
on
another, you
ethics
can't
as well
serve
as-
on,
Right.
yes, sir.
Okay.
But I'd support Lisa Burton.
Yeah.
Lisa, good with that?
Yeah.
She's gonna be the alternate.
Lisa
of the
Lisa
board?
Burton.
So that's all position, yes, alternate.
Yeah, I'd
I
support that.
support
That's a good choice.
It
She
matters.
just pulled rank on her husband.
For
So we are saying that again, Ken Demko, Anthony Okafor, and George Sandler reappointment as regular member, and Lisa Burton.
An alternate.
Yes.
Ross Miracle's not serving again.
Okay, so moving on to the next one.
4A.
We can do 4A. We have 2 candidates. We have James Cora and Mark Eldridge.
I put James Core in there.
Okay,
Reappoint K-Paul.
I'm sorry?
Reappoint K-Paul.
Give me 1 second. Let me get up there. Okay. Reappoint Paul and Rose Miracle.
No, he's not.
He doesn't want to serve.
He does not want to serve, so he is the
So-
vacant spot.
Okay, so that's going to be James Cora. Any?
You want, everybody's agreed on that?
Do we,
I like
do
Mark.
we want to hear 4A or 4B or the?
You're looking at 4A now.
4A.
I don't,
Do you want to hear the?
I don't know that we should do that since you don't have all the other
Yeah,
department
probably
heads
shouldn't.
here to allow them to put input in.
What department heads?
He said, do you want to hear
The
from
chairman
the
of
4A and 4B director? But you don't have other
I
department
didn't
heads.
hear any preference from anybody personally.
I have Mark Eldridge on 4B,
Yeah.
along with the reappointments.
Mark Eldridge, or you want Mandy Evans?
I don't know Mark Eldridge.
I just worry about all the realtors getting into boards. That just really bothers me
Yeah.
sometimes.
That's why I like Mark on.
Too many realtors
I
in the
don't
board.
know what Sunnyvale looks like with rain.
Realtor.
Realtors.
Just throw that one out there.
What's that?
I don't know what Sunnyvale look like with
We're on
rain.
4A. Are we on 4A?
Okay.
Yes, we're on
So-
4A.
So you're not Grange.
Do what?
You're not-
jump
Okay,
back
that's
to
good,
4A.
good to know that.
Yes, because
I like it. That's
she
fine.
said she thought, did you hear what she said?
Yeah.
She said, I think
Okay.
Sunnyvale like the Grange.
So Mark Eldridge is 4B, is what I'm hearing?
That's what I
Okay.
had.
So reappoint K. Paul Cash and who, did you say?
James Core.
No, James Cora on 4A.
4A, correct.
So we're bouncing back for it.
Oh, James Cora. Okay.
So Ross Miracle is out. 4B, what did we say again? I'm sorry.
So
Catch
4B,
up.
you said reappoint,
Polly Hunter is out, right?
Those
Holly
three
Hunter.
plus Mark
Eric
Eldridge.
Weiss is reappointment. Michael Giordano, Javier Torres, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And then Mark Eldridge.
And
So the
we're just looking at-
Polly Hunter's out, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
Put Mark for Polly.
And since the 4B president's here, should we maybe ask him?
No. If you do that, then you have to ask everybody.
Well, no, I'm not trying, I'm just,
I like Mark.
I think those guys have to work with the people that we
No,
assign.
we,
And,
I'm trying to be consistent of the process, that's all.
well, that's true too, but
I like Mark on
I'll be
4B.
president next year.
Mark Eldridge on 4B.
4B.
Yes.
Same.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
I'm not officially asking you. So we done 4A, we done 4B.
Now we need library.
Okay, everything's pretty straightforward, not many applicants for that.
I mean, with 3-1.
Plus, I had Doria Lynn Butler.
So we had Jane Werler, Joby Joseph, Dosia Lynn Butner, and Emery's wife, Jan Powell.
Can we start with the reappointments first?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I'm trying to find my papers, I just read.
Very,
Right here, this.
Very first one, okay, so reappointment is
Ann Smith
Ann Smith, Randy Ferguson. Everybody good with that?
and Megan Skidmore.
Megan Skidmore is good with that.
Everybody's good? Okay.
So we have 3 positions open, right? Didn't we?
I like Jan Waller and Joby Joseph. Those two I liked. Honestly, I can't remember.
Dosia Butner is the,
Can't
she's the
remember.
one,
Let me throw one more thing out there. You have 1 regular, 2 alternates.
I'm sorry, again, which one is the regular one? That's the one,
It's open, it's just vacant.
Mr. Rajan Phillips is out, right? That's the one I'm talking about?
I don't know, it just says vacant on that.
That's the one, the gentleman who
It's
passed
vacant.
away.
Somebody,
Oh,
yes.
Where is it
Yes.
again? That's a member, yeah. So who should be the regular?
I had the Dosia Lynn Bruckner,
Any,
who's the educator.
Yes, you're right, that's true. I mean, we should give some credence to Miss Powell. She's heavily involved there.
she's gonna be involved, right? No matter what.
Probably, but, I mean, this would be, maybe as an alternate place, a good place to put her.
The thing that concerned me about what she had to say was so much heavy in community development of computer knowledge. And I think most people have all of that now. That seems to be a very driving force to say, hey, she wanted to help develop basically continuing ed for computer programs, and we don't even train computer programs anymore. I mean, I'm just something to think. I was thinking about that. But you're right. She is involved in it now, so.
Are we good with, or we have any different thoughts? Mr. Finch.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'll defer to-
Who was
Moving
what?
on to, I'm sorry.
Who was what? I missed what it was. Who's regular?
Dosia Lynn Butner is going to be the regular. Joby Joseph and Jane.
Jan.
Jane.
Or are we going Jane Waller?
Jane Waller
Okay.
will be the alternate.
Jane Waller?
That's the young lady, right? That's a young lady who came into.
I put her as being iffy because of the young kids. But that's just my 2 cents.
Commitment.
That was a strength for me. She had the young kids that wanted to be involved in it.
Right, she's going there, taking them regularly.
But that's different than being on the board, but whatever y'all
I
think.
guess for me, it's tough. Jan Powell is obviously heavily involved. Jane Waller wants to be involved. She goes there all the time.
Do we want to swap between those two?
I think I had a concern with Joby because of his, seems like the revenge factor because he didn't like the way that
The checkout
checkout
system
was.
works.
Yeah.
And I don't like to see people get on board because they're unhappy with something.
Sure.
Well, it's the time to go fix it. That's why I'm going to talk about Emery Powell when we come to the ethics.
Well, it is the time to fix it, but his seemed to be a little bit revengeful. What you do is you get on and you make changes. You don't swing a baseball bat around and make changes. You become a part of it and make changes.
Who do we have on library board? Dosia?
Dosia Lynn Buckner was
The regular?
regular.
Yes, as the regular, and then you have Jane Waller, Jan Powell, and the Joby left to fill 2 alternates. So right now, y'all have already said Jane Waller, so it sounds like y'all are up between Jan and Jody.
I'd put Jan over Joby personally, but
I would too.
that's just me.
I'll defer. Most of us, I can't remember.
I remember Joby having that
Issue.
issue.
I've forgotten.
Jan is involved. I mean, we're taking somebody
She's
who's,
involved.
you take somebody who's a participant versus
Okay,
somebody
so
who's
Jane Waller and Jan Powell.
One more thing is the chairman for the BOA, which we're charged with doing.
We said Jean Holt,
It's
right?
Gene Holt or Kieran Hill.
Oh,
Who?
Karen would be good at that, I think.
Those are the two that are intimately qualified.
So can we ask whether Jean Holt would be interested?
She's done it before.
She did.
She's done it before.
I'm good either way.
I like Jean, but I think Karen.
So Karen.
I'll defer to.
Karen's the most knowledgeable of our new ordinances.
True.
So Karen Hill is the chairman.
That's a good point there.
Yeah.
Can we have ethics?
Ethics.
I know we have 5 listed for ethics, but if we change that to 6, we can basically take all of those, and I didn't see any that I didn't.
Make it 7 if you're going to make it 5.
Yeah, you have to make it odd
Odd
number.
I
number.
think that
For voting.
we should have a council member on there
Okay. So let's just
and
So
a past
take-
council member, just like you do on the charter committee.
so let's just talk about it, right?
So you're proposing a council member and then all 6 of these?
Let's just go through this
Okay.
one just for a second. Okay.
Okay.
So we say Emery Powell.
He didn't put down for that.
He did say he's
He
interested.
did say, yeah, he did
Oh,
say
well, then
it.
you're gonna have a lot more than, so then if that's.
It's okay. Let's just go through it. Charles Anderson. He's the
Yes, I'll let you.
okay. Karen Hill already has a position, but she could be an additional person.
I think she could be a
Past
past council
council
member.
Okay. Anand Kumar. And we said Joseph Lon Hickman. He's the, if I remember, he's the Southwestern Bell.
Yep.
I had Lon Hickman down.
Yep.
Got into-
Yeah.
I'm sorry again.
Yes.
I had Lon Hickman.
Yeah, I do have it. Then we have Lisa Burton, Ernest Burton. We
I
can
had
pick
Mark
one.
Eldridge.
Well, we put Lisa on something already, so
Yeah.
we could put Ernest on
I'd
there.
like
My
to see
concerns
yours.
about the Burtons are they just moved here, even though they seem to be very educated, committed, just moved here.
But this is an ethics of making decisions that are right, and my experience is.
Who was the ethics committee? The husband or the wife?
Both.
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 We've already put the wife on something.
No.
Oh, it was the wife. Who was the
wife.
She was a teacher of TEA for ethics.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she works for TEA Region 10, I think is what she
That's
said. And she does the ethics there as well.
So that would be a good one.
You don't get to be a lieutenant colonel without having
Yeah.
leadership and ethics skills.
Yeah.
Lieutenant colonel is not an easy
I
job.
think both were lieutenant colonels.
Both are
Yeah,
lieutenant colonel.
both
Those
lieutenant
are.
colonels.
Is there any
Impressive.
issue with appointing them both?
I don't know. We want both in the committee. I'm going to pick
I was just
one.
asking.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything legally or not, but it just seems.
It does seem weird, but
That's all.
And-
So we- Paul,
this
so-
is not really, to me, the ethics isn't really a residential issue. If you're here more, to me, ethics is about doing it the right way and making decisions about how we're going to perform as a community. And if you do not have those ethics, you will not get to LTC in any military branch.
Right, right. So let me ask you this question. So current, we talked about having a current council member. Any volunteers?
I will.
Okay. If no one else is taking, let me talk about, if it's 7 people, I don't know, Rachel, you need to tell me whether there's any problem or not, we post as 5.
Yeah, I would have to check on that just because y'all voted in a council meeting for it to be 5, so it may have to go back on the council agenda, but if that's the case,
We
I
have
don't see
time,
the problem. You
apparently.
have
Yeah,
time
we
with that.
So what we talked about is Emery Powell, Charles Anderson, Karen Hill in or out, Anand Kumar. Let's see Karen Hill, let's talk over it, right? It's Emery Powell, Charles Anderson, Karen Hill 3, Anand Kumar 4, Lynn 5. If you pick one of the Burton, that's 6, and Mark Egan 7.
I didn't pick Henry Powell.
We got to give him one chance. Something we got to give him.
I agree.
We got to give him.
I think this is a good spot for
Hard to find.
Yeah, I'm telling
The man
you,
has
I
been
agree.
trying to get involved in many things. Even I have.
Do something.
We got to give him some opportunity. He's the most involved citizen I can find. The right or wrong?
I agree.
That's my thought.
Yeah, and he's very, I think this will be a good spot for him.
Well, yeah, he thought it was a great spot for an ordained minister.
So Rachel, what do you recommend? We move forward with the 7 or do not do it? You want to check on it?
No, I don't think we can move forward with the 7,
Okay.
because I think that has to be done in a council meeting. However, if y'all want to table that one, I think you can. I wouldn't appoint anybody if you want to consider 7.
Okay, Council, are you okay with the table in that item?
Well, here's an alternative. Right now, we have Mark and, was it Karen Hill?
Yeah.
We could move forward with the 5 to lock that into place and then add on a current council.
But we don't even have the charge.
We don't even, we
Yeah, we
can just delay it.
We just delay
I don't even know what we're doing
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we got plenty of time because we don't even know what we're
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll hold off for future discussion on this.
Sounds good.
That thought was more on just to try to let people know.
I agree. Okay,
Because
but
that was, that's
We told them for it, and we're not ready yet.
true, that was very, very.
Council, if nothing else, now it's 7:17. I'm going to adjourn the special town council meeting of the town of Sunnyvale for September 24th. Councilors, take a 5 minutes break and we'll get back together